Hello, Yi Martins, licensed marriage and family therapist, couples therapist. Today I want to talk a little bit about the ADHD partner and the non-ADHD partner who is more flexible. I heard a lot of complaints from my clients, my couples clients saying, um, one of them is my partner with ADHD, they always change their mind, and then they can never make up their mind when we are trying to resolve an issue. They have this idea and then that ideas and that idea, or they're trying to say make plans for a trip. They keep changing the dates, or they keep changing the location and activity. It seems like they're constantly chasing the next thing, and I never know what is our plan. And so the non-ADHD partner will complain that they feel not stable, they feel anxious, and they do not know how to rely on their partner with ADHD. And then the ADHD partner's argument is, well, you are being really rigid, right? You are now adapting to the changing situation. I just wanted to keep an open mind so we have options. And what if there are things that's more fun? What if there's better solutions? There's different aspect of this issue, or with time goes, situation change. We should be able to adapt. So I'm just more flexible. Does any of those sounds familiar to you? I wonder which position you're taking here, and how do you feel about this argument? Please leave it in the comment section. Let me know if that resonates with your experience and how you're feeling about each of this position. So I wanted to talk a little bit about flexibility. It really depends on your definition, right? So I want to focus on the core issue of this difference between these two people in this relationship. As I said before, I do not believe one person is absolutely just ADHD and the other person is not. Actually, some of the relationship, both of them have some traits of ADHD, but one person is having more ADHD symptoms and they are leaning on this side of the spectrum, and the other partner is more on this side, or their ADHD symptom is not causing a lot of challenges in their relationship, and they're the one that overcompensate for their partner with more ADHD symptoms and their shortcomings, and when they work together as a couple. So for the purpose of my videos, I just call them the ADHD partner and the non-ADHD partner. And so it's easier for you to see. But in reality, there's no clear definition. Sometimes in some couples, one definitely has ADHD and with a diagnosis and the other one doesn't. But a lot of times it's really hard to tell, and everybody share different traits. I see that as a neurodivergent issue instead of a one person is the problem issue. So a lot of times, because of the ADHD brain and how that is seeking external stimulation to keep them engaged. A lot of my clients with ADHD will say, well, if nothing is happening, then I'm feeling bored. So for them, being content is boring. But for a lot of other people, myself included, being content is relaxing. So when the person that has a brain that need more external stimulation to make them feel more awake and more alert, more engaged, and more content in that way, that can accidentally creating overstimulation for the other person. And when someone is feeling overstimulated, what happens? So what is your experience when you feel more overstimulated? Say either you're in a place that's really loud, or a lot of people are bumping into you. I'm thinking about Costco here, or they are in a crowded place, that you smell things that's too much for your sensory input, and you start to do what? Either you act out by being, like, say, agitated and want to stop. This is the source of the noise or the sound or the contact. Or you may shut down, your system shut down, and then you start to protect yourself. You close your boundary, and so you can preserve your energy. You can integrate those information within your system. That makes sense, isn't it? So in that situation, the two people will have a different needs for stimulation and connection. The one that's shutting down sometimes is the ADHD partner, sometimes is a non-ADHD partner. I have seen both cases in my couples. Depends on how you're neurologically wired and what is your past experience with stimulation. Do you have any negative childhood experiences from your family of origin? How are you dealing with external stimulation and information? It's a very important factor in here. So we cannot just judge based on, oh, they have ADHD, they definitely shut down, or they don't have ADHD, they don't like the stimulation. It really depends. And someone could be a sensation seeker, but has a very low threshold. That means they're really looking for stimulation, external stimulation, because they like the engagement, but they cannot take too much of that. Otherwise, they feel overstimulated and they shut down. They need to retreat. It has something to do with your personality too. There are different ways of assessing personality, and there are also different theories, right? I think it's important for you to observe yourself. You can use different framework to assess yourself. And one of the interesting assessment tools I learned from my colleague Karen, and she gave a speech on different personalities and parenting. I thought it's very interesting. She talks about the ambitious parent and the inspiring parent, and the cautious child and the supportive child. So I will actually invite her to give us a talk, an interview at some point, to talk about how neurodivergent children can fit into that framework, and also making me think about partners and how the two partners have differences in their brain structure, their nervous system, and then how that impact their work together. For example, the ADHD partner tends to be the one that has a personality that's called inspiring personality, and they're really open-minded. They like to brainstorm. They have many great ideas. They're very creative. They're good for brainstorming. If you think about Mad Men, for example, work on advertisement proposals and ideas, right? Creativity. They work under the pressure with the timeline, and they can come out with something really interesting. But they keep having different ideas and they brainstorm, and they're very task oriented. But that make it a bit harder when you are on a time crunch and you want a productivity. So the dominate personality will come in and say, very concrete, this is what we're doing, this is the way, and to reduce the time spent on brainstorming and coming up with ideas, but put them into action. So they're very efficient. If you think two people in a relationship, both of them are the inspiring partner, they probably will never get anything done, right? So they would just sit here and talk about all the good ideas and all the possibilities, and they're not putting them into action. So if you are partnered with someone that is an inspiring partner who is on this side of the ADHD spectrum, and you're someone that's very concrete and you're externalizing your energy and you're task oriented as well, you might be more the ambitious partner. So the opposite attract. This kind of bonding is kind of like the ionic bonding, like I was looking at bonding and molecules with my child yesterday. That reminds me this kind of relationship. You are in some way having more or less of a certain traits, and in the atoms is electrons. But for people, it could be that you are more sufficient in this area of planning, of implementing, and the other person has more traits or advantage in brainstorming, having ideas. And if you work well together to form a system, and you can really optimize your resources, and that's wonderful for your bond, right? But if you start to look at your differences and saying you're different from me and we cannot work together, and you look at the other person as the wrong one, like as the less person, like a not ideal situation, and then your system disintegrate, you cannot work together, it's not a bond anymore. So what are the way to integrate your system together? Well, one way, according to the system focused perspective, is to look at your own system within. Like I keep focusing on, go back to yourself, right? What if you can develop those electrons that you don't have, that your partner have, that you're originally attracted to, and you make your system more stable, which means your outer layer, you have more electrons that's stable. Say you can have 8 or 18, and you're a more stable atom. Then the two of your bond, more like a covalent bond, that you share those electrons, but you don't really need each other to be an individual atom, and you can function really well. But when you group together your energy, you join force. So not saying you totally change who you are, but consider, say, if you're the more inspiring partner, that can you learn to implement, can you learn to tolerate the frustration of repetitive tasks and get things done when it's more detail-oriented, that needs steps. Well, for the partner that is a more, say, dominant and action-oriented and having this idea of how things are done, can you keep an open mind and give your partner that's inspiring some job that they're really good at doing, they have energy for? That way you're working towards the same goal and build your own little system, and whatever that matter is called for you. So that's just some ideas that I got from looking at a science book and thinking about our system theory. What are your thoughts? So until next time, let me know how you are feeling about this topic, and I will put some of the video linked if you want to know more about the atoms and the bonding. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.